So this is Thursday, March the 12th. This is workshop number 1, Btec Performing Arts, component 2. This is the audition preparation process for The Terrible Fate of Humpty Dumpty, which is the component 2 performance text.
You're the leader. So you can't take one person next to me. So one person has a little rehearsal.
Well, yes, we do two then.
Cody does it, and then everyone else. And then Grace does it.
What are your thoughts so far? What have you come up with?
And then Grace does it. But we also do the first thing. Yeah. Okay. So.
Alright, so what I would say is, just because we're just running a little bit tight on time, let's have that be your physical one. And then we'll have that be your physical one. So, alright, so what we decide is, the girls can very physical warm-up, it's a little bit more complex. So, maybe it's towards that. And so what you like, let's just do your verbal warm-up. So you do one verbal warm-up. 3, 2, okay, and I'll write you back.
Oh, they told you the moves I need. Someone does a move, and then the next person has to do the next move. It's like, and then it's one way to start. Right, so Grace, Harry, Natalie, exactly. So what's your start? It's a dart. It's a dart. How do I start? Just do anything. And then Harry, you have to copy her.
Wait,
And
can
now,
you pass it like a lot?
so you. Oh. No. Yeah, Harry, you have to do the first person. So Grace will do a move, and you have to do it, and then the next person will do it, the next person will do it, and then it gets round to the last person, and they change the move.
Can you do like across the circle?
Oh, so we will do the
So
same
you do
move,
the
then
same
get
thing.
changed.
Everyone has to do Archie, and then Archie adds something new, and then add something new, and then yeah.
Wait, can we do it like across the circle?
No.
Well, you can't do it.
I'm not. Maddie, it's your turn. You didn't get that far. Yes, I did. Why is everyone going? So after you change it, change the move. Then do it. You do the red move. You do both? Yeah. No, you just do one. And then Cody changes it.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, God.
And then
Oh, it's your turn like that.
What's that?
Thomas changes the move. Is it? Then the next move is do that.
I've got one in mind.
Right, Ben changed it.
Oh,
no.
You've got
He
it.
just
need some brave person to
Go on,
come
Ben.
in and lead that. All right, okay.
Go on, Ben.
You're going to be like 4 octaves down.
Keeps it everyone off.
We should have just skimmed a little high.
No, yeah. So you're going to go. You're going to be like the voluntary.
Oh,
You don't even know upside down.
oh, so
The thing that missed us in the middle of the, yeah.
Wait, do I have to do like that?
Yeah, you have to do
Do
the
it
action.
really quick, ready?
I don't know the
Right, okay.
gist.
So stand in the middle. Everyone will need to stand up because we're doing vowels now. Can we move a bit more over to the center as well? Okay. So I've done it from the top, but remember that's the lowest tone. So that's whoa, good, good, Buddha. And then
This is going to be
I'll do it with you. Okay, I'll do it with you. Right, ready? You start, okay? Ow, it's so wrong.
on the ground.
All right, well, we can all do it together since we know it now. We've done it a couple of times. So you can be sort of our leader, but we'll all do it simultaneously, should we? Okay, all right, ready? And really high. Right, okay, thank you very much, both boys and girls, for doing your warm-up. Let's go into the next phase. Go back to your register circle, please. Thank
I
you.
think I've done
Okay.
We cannot do this.
Right, so the next question, now that you've completed your sort of warm-up phase, is why is it important to complete a short warm-up? And how might completing a short warm-up help you to audition more successfully? Archie, what do you think about that? Why do you think it's important to warm up before you audition for something? What would be the advantages to that?
So you can get your voice cool.
Okay, so we're going to be using our speaking voices, and you're going to be judged on how well you speak and how well you project your voice and emotional expression. So warming up your voice is certainly preparing you to do a good job with that. That's an excellent answer. Any other reasons why it's important? Maddie, how about you? Think about physical things. You need to warm up before you dance. What's the importance of that?
So, like, I don't know, so they like think
Okay, so actually a voice is a muscle too, isn't it? So how we produce sound in our body, vocal cords are very small muscles, and of course when we do dance, we've got much bigger whole body muscles involved. And warm-ups prevent those kind of injuries. They get the muscles warm, they get the muscles active before we put a lot of stress on them, before we really exert ourselves, okay? Is there any, Marion, do you think there is any mental or any psychological reason for doing a warm-up before you would prepare an audition?
I mean, some people get stage fright, so they might like prepare themselves to look at, really stare at the audience and freeze up.
Okay, and how might a warm-up help them to do that?
They can like prepare themselves, but the audience like think, oh, just do the same thing on the stage as you're doing now, just don't think that the audience is there.
Okay, I mean, it does, you get involved in a warm-up, don't you? And you just focus on that, so you don't start worrying about what people are thinking. Grace, would you like to add to that?
Some years like getting into characters and help you feel like you're really comfortable.
Oh, that's a really good example. Okay, can you think of a warm-up that would help you do that?
When we did the one where we like the soldiers on the floor, someone was being a soldier and
Yeah. Okay, all right. So some of the warm-ups can be really quick, quite tailored to the kind of audition you're doing. Okay, let's move on. All right, now, we're going to have 5 minutes of monologue rehearsal. Now, hopefully, everyone took a picture of their monologue on their phone. I have saved your whiteboards over there as well, but I can't guarantee if they haven't rubbed off a little bit or something like that, okay? So I want you to rehearse and prepare in your own space. And because we had our own other piece of homework set for today, I didn't require that you learned your monologue off by heart. But because we've only got about 5 sentences, I'm guessing, for most people, try to learn as much of it off by heart as you can. It's not a requirement, but obviously, if you're auditioning for something and you're looking at your phone, or you're looking at your whiteboard, or you're looking at something, it's going to be really hard to judge how appropriate you are for a specific character. Okay? So, can you get what you need to prepare? And I'll bring your whiteboards out if that will help. Also, if you're chewing, absolutely you need to get rid of your gum. You never, never audition with gum in your mouth, just as a bit of professional advice.
That's funny.
So whiteboards are over here, too. If you want to have a look and find yours, they're coming out. And again, I'm sorry that they might be smudged, but these are here too. I'm sorry, pardon me. More whiteboards over here to have a look at. If any of them are yours.
Stop laughing. Said stop laughing.
Does anybody know what they do? The holiday for the 3 girls.
Yeah, because I got that Friday, 3:00 p.m.
Why are you like so good? It doesn't show you the Friday. Up and down. It's just Friday 15.
Sure.
It doesn't say that on the Wait. It's the last Friday.
Oh, wait. It was.
Right, okay, come have a look for your whiteboard over here, please, yeah? I think that's all of them.
Can I do it? Wait, how much you got? How much you
Right, okay, so when I say preparing your monologue, you need to be up on your feet, practicing your lines in your own space, okay? So go over them enough so you feel that you're comfortable with that. And don't be too close to anyone. So bend your knees, find your own space, okay? Maddie, maybe move over here a little tiny bit. And I need to hear people speaking their lines and not just walking around reading silently. You don't know nothing. You're not my friend. Yes. And I don't want you to hear anyone else, Ben, by yourself. Yeah. You must you have. That's fine. Tracy. You don't know nothing. I want to go home. That's dangerous.
You said anything wrong with
I don't even need that. Just shut up.
Yes, I am
There's
tired.
nothing. Just shut your mouth. We all different from athletes. Tell us something. I don't want to say it.
Okay, stop for a minute, please. Stop. If you're too close to someone else, distance yourself a bit so you're not too close to anyone else. Now, what I'd like you to do, if you're not doing this already, is I'd like you to stand still now in the area that you're standing, and I'd like you to try to deliver as much of the monologue as you can without looking at the words, okay? So you start in your own time. Everyone's going to be doing this at the same time. No one's listening to anyone but themselves. But have a go practicing it that way, please. Off you go.
Shut. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Stop
Right, okay, thanks everybody. Now, this time, we're going to go back to an exercise that we did, maybe not our last lesson, but the lesson previous. What I'd like you to do is, I want you to now walk your lines. So you're going to be speaking while you're talking, except every time, exactly right, Maddie, every time you have a new sentence or a different part of the play, because everyone should have chosen lines from different parts of the play, I want you to change your direction. So you're going to have to keep everybody in your peripheral vision, so you don't crash into anyone, okay?
Can we look at this?
Yeah, you can look this time, that's fine. Again, try not to, but the most important thing is that you are changing direction, okay? So start the direction with your first line, and let's see where it takes you. Go. Change every time to change.
You don't come to tell you.
Stop laughing. Stop laughing.
Okay, thank you. Stop, please. Now, we're going to take the same exercise, and this time, instead of changing your direction, I want you to put a very different vocal tone or inflection on each of those different lines. So even if it doesn't make any sense, say one line with an extremely happy tone, one line with a completely angry tone, one line with a very frightened tone, a different tone for each individual line in your monologue. Go, have a practice of that.
We ain't One's been keeping you away from it.
Keep short here. Okay, can you find yourself back in the register circle, please? Thank you very much. Okay. Right, now, this is a slightly different progress check than what we normally do in that. At this point, I would be checking to see whether you understand what we've done so far, whether you've learned what we need to do for must. What I'd like you to do now, rather than share this, I'd like you to think about it. So I'd like you to think about the role that you've created this little monologue for. And I'd like you to think about what special qualities do you have to get this role across. Now, we don't know, but
it's quite possible that more than one person is auditioning for the same part. It's possible that several people are auditioning for the same part. It's possible that no one's auditioning for the same part because it's quite a big cast. Nevertheless, it's really important to understand as actors, when you audition for something, you don't necessarily get that part. So for example, if you audition for Terry Dumpton and nobody else auditions for a Terry Dumpton, but the girls think actually so-and-so who didn't audition for it, they would be the best Terry Dumpton. And Terry Dumpton's the center of the show, so we've got to make the right decision for that particular role. Then they may cast you in a role that you don't audition for. So what you need to think about now is, even if nobody else is auditioning for your part, what is it about you? What are your special qualities that will bring this particular role to life? Why should the audition members, the panel, cast you in this part? So you need to have a little bit of a think about that, because they're going to be asking you that when we come to the audition. Okay? So just have a think for a minute about the role that you're auditioning for and what you would bring to it. Okay. All right. So we'll go on to the audition process. It's in 3 parts. There is the monologue performance, where you will do your monologue to the audition panel. If you're a girl, you do it for boys, boys do it for girls, etc. There will be a short question and answer session with the panel, where they will ask you questions about why you think you're right for the role, how you see the role being played on stage, etc. And at the end, you will have a very short dance stroke movement audition. Okay? All right. So, questions asked by the audition panel, and you can see how these will be tied into the progress check we just did. What role are you auditioning for? Why are you the right actor for this particular part? Now, I went through the cast list. This is more for the audition panel than anybody. I went through the cast list, okay, and I wrote down all the characters that are best played by girls and best played by boys, all right? Now, we don't necessarily have to do all of them, because there are some scenes that we could probably take out without too much problem and still have the story remain, all right? So we've got the girls in the gang, and then we've got Leslie, Terry's sister, and then we've got Mrs. Dumpton and Mrs. Vickers. I don't know if you remember, Mrs. Vickers is the kind of busybody that the reporter goes to see. She's the one that actually saw the accident happen, okay? And then we've got the boys over here, Terry, Dumpton, Stubbs, Jimmy, Pete, and Sammy. These roles, I think, and I'll let you make a final decision, could be played either by a boy or a girl. Both of the police officers could be either gender. The head teacher could be a man or a woman. And Ross Webster, the reporter, could be a man or a woman too. All right? So that's just something to think about. Right. Okay. So if you're on the audition panel, you're going to need to take notes on each actor's performance and the role that they want to play. What are they doing well? Is this the best fit for them, or will they do better in another role? Because in the end, we have to have everybody cast in a part. We can't have nobody playing Terry. We can't have no one playing Sammy, okay? All right, now we have, I think, one more boy. So I think we've got 7 boys and 6 girls. So I'd like the boys to audition first. Girls, can you get a chair from over there? Boys, can we have you sit over here against the wall with your monologues, please? Okay. Girls, you need to get a chair and something to write on. Take notes. Okay. I think move back a little.
little bit. So let's have you move back, all the way back here. Kind of on the same, yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Go that way, I don't want to be in trouble.
Well, what are your personal goals?
Do you want to push up? Can you move that a bit more so I'm not like in front of the
I
camera?
think I'm really good at swimming because I'm
Don't be away. Yeah, Grace didn't want to be.
Terry, I can understand what you're saying.
Right on this side.
Okay.
Actually, can't be. I felt up the stairs, but it's actually like a student.
Right, okay, so actors, you're going to need to come up and say your name and the part that you're auditioning for, and then you will do your monologues. After that, people on the audition panel, you will need to ask a question. So for example, for the first person auditioning, Grace and Mariam, you'll ask the 2 questions. For the second person auditioning, Cody and Maddie, you'll ask the question, and then the next person, so we'll just go down the line like that. But you will all need to take notes on what they say, okay? Right, okay, Harry, can you come up first for us, please? Okay. Maybe move forward a little bit. Okay, excellent. Right, so you'll begin by saying your name and the character that you want to audition for.
I'm Harry Greenway, and I am auditioning for the part of Dumpty.
Wait till he does his monologue first.
Why are you asking me? We won't believe me anyway. We'll just believe her. Nobody ever listens to me. What, are you accusing me? Or saying I'm a thief? I don't care, I just ain't coming. Alright. I'll bring £3.
Okay, thank you. Give him a minute to take some notes. Be sure to make a note of the part that he's auditioning for. Grace and Mariam, do you want to start with your questions, please?
Why do you want this character?
I want to be Harry because I feel like I have an emotional connection to him, because I just feel like I've experienced things like him before, and I just feel like I'm connected.
Let's see, Mariam, let's put the questions back up for you, I think. It was on the previous slide. Okay, well actually, why are you the right actor for this part? We've answered that, so we'll have you ask that question next time, okay? Right, thank you very much. Archie, you want to come up next? Okay, so Mariam, do you want to ask him the first question?
What's your name and what role are you auditioning for?
I'm Archie Emerson. I'm auditioning for Jimmy. Stubbs, what are we gonna do? Shut up, will you? Stop laughing. I said stop laughing.